Guys, this is Allison from Allykatkreations. How are you? Angelic warrior. Fishing for storms. If you would be so kind as to hit that like button, subscribe, and share, because it's caring. If you get anything from my work, a connect the dot, an epiphany, a mind blown moment, a mushroom cloud moment, a new book to read, a new author to explore, please consider supporting my work, and all the links will be at the description below. And I thank you for everybody who has. So I have had humid tornado warning, not here, but I had a watch. Bad storms this morning, more wind, and I still don't have my generator completely hooked up because I'm waiting on some cords to be delivered. Fun times. So yeah, I was out with my little trusty hat, keeping my hair from getting totally drenched. And I have hat head, so I'm leaving the hat on. Thankfully, the tornadoes happened in Chicago, near Chicago area, not down here, even though I'm considered Chicago area, but yet I'm in Indiana. I don't get that. Like New Jersey, Connecticut, New York is called the tri-state area. I don't say Newark area or Bridgeport area, just the tri-state area. So I don't know why it's like Chicago area when I'm in Indiana. I'm in another state. Close. I don't know. Anywho, quantum AI and metaphysical ponderings. Because I just cannot ignore the black hole and things that link to that. Articles have been all over my Facebook, all over the place on my Facebook. Sometimes that's spirit talking to me, leaving me little droplets of stuff to look into. Yes. So I have a bunch of those articles I'm going to read and go through here today because I think it's very important that we kind of understand and grasp where my brain is going, because your brain might be there too. Now, if anybody who has watched the fail-safe video from Ashiana Dean talking about the black hole. Now, again, I don't necessarily think it will, but here, the last video I did, or one of them, I'm taking the model that Dolores Cannon spoke about in her books, where even though we're not really doing much besides raising our consciousness, there might be a time rift shift in time space in our reality that might do this. So you have old Earth and then you have the new Earth, if that makes sense. She always said it was going to do this. Okay, so this little bugger is the people who are not ascending, who have made a contract as per Ashiana Dean to jump into the black hole matrix. One of the very thousands of black holes now inhabiting the news cycles right now. And here we are on this little new Earth. I mean, you could flat, whatever, toroidal field. I'm just doing this for argument's sake. And here we are in our ascension in another density. So we're no longer in a threat of a black hole because we shifted density. Ashad was pointing out in that video this Earth wasn't ascending. Now, this was a while ago, before all this new stuff is happening. But my theory in bridging her work and what I feel could potentially be happening is just like in 2012, we had CERN, GodSpark, the Bose-Hyson, and here we are, we're zipped into a fail-safe matrix. A fail-safe meaning a place where nothing can happen. And then we're put back into time. And oops, here's a Mandela effect, because things that we remember aren't the way that reality, unless we are living in an Orwellian world, 1984, hello. But there are things that can't be unproven as we remember them. So could we be blinked back into another failsafe or into something else so that we're not going into black hole? Who knows? Anything is possible at this point. But I find it very, very interesting how all these articles start popping up on my feed in the last few weeks. And I just take their links and I just compile them. And I have a shit ton. It's not funny. It's a shit ton. So what are they trying to tell us here? Well, this is interesting, talking about particles and quantum and space-time. This is from Quanta Magazine. One lab's quest to build space-time out of quantum particles. This is quantamagazine.org. For over 2 decades, physicists have pondered how the fabric of space-time may emerge from some kind of quantum entanglement. In Monica Lear Smith's lab, Stanford University, the thought experiment is becoming real. The contributing writer here is Adam Becker. The prospects for directly testing a theory of quantum gravity are poor, to put it mildly. To probe the ultra-tiny Planck scale where quantum gravitational effects appear, you would need a particle accelerator as big as the Milky Way. Or you can just ask your kindly galactic friends upstairs. Likewise, black holes hold singularities that are governed by quantum gravity, but no black holes are particularly close by. And even if they were, we could never hope to see what's inside. Quantum gravity was also at work in the first moments of the Big Bang, but direct signals from that era are long gone, leaving us to decipher subtle clues that first appeared hundreds of thousands of years ago. But in a small lab just outside Palo Alto, the Stanford University professor Monica Lear Smith and her team are trying a different way to test quantum gravity without black holes. Oh, great! Or galaxy-sized particle accelerators. Oh, that's wonderful. Let's not suck us into the void, why don't we? Physicists have been suggesting for over a decade that gravity and even space-time itself may emerge from a strange quantum connection, cold entanglement. Smith and her collaborators are reverse engineering the process. Oh, here we go. Let's play with danger, why don't we? By engineering highly entangled quantum systems in a tabletop, oh, we love that word, tabletop experiment. Hopes to produce something that looks and acts like a warped space-time predicted by Albert Einstein's theory of general relativity. Pause. Here again is another institution with physicists, smarty pants, balking with shit they should not be. Why? Well, how we're going to advance technology, Allison? I don't know. The beings upstairs, from what I channel, what I receive, my own Allison's dynamic here, they're messing with scalar wave, which is a component of what we are made up of, breaking through time-space using entanglement to distort the sine wave or the cosine wave, either one, in the patterning of our existence. You want to know why time is going so fast and you feel like the day is going by so quick? Boom. We live in an ontological mathematical equation. We're made up of mathematics. There's entanglement. Experimenting on this stuff could lead to things. Oh, well, it could lead to shit that we don't want. And if it's something for good, I bet you it's going to go to the bad. Because we still live in duality. Even though our consciousness, in my opinion, for a lot of us, have already superseded 3 and 4. Many of us are on 5, 6, 7 density of thinking. Our vehicles are still stuck here. We're here. Our physical bodies are stuck here in 3rd density. I don't know what crazy people are talking about. Oh, we're already in 4. Yeah, we're probably already merged to 4th. Okay, so 4th still has duality. All the nature and universe is dualistic. But when you get higher in density, you lose a bit of the duality and it kind of separates and goes on. It's you stay over there and you're going to stay over here kind of thing. Not where we're all enmeshed together here, all in one. We're still here physically. And according to my parents upstairs, I ain't leaving anytime soon on a journey up in the galactics. I got told they're all coming down and helping me here. Not happy about that. Take me home. But this is the stuff that we got to have our eyes on. Boggles my mind. In a paper posted in June, her team announced their first experimental step along this route. A system of atoms trapped by light with connections made to order, finally controlled with magnetic fields. When tuned in the right way, the long-distance correlations in this system described a tree-like geometry. Oh, here we are. Similar to ones seen in simple models of emergent space-time. Henceforth, the tree of life. Smith and her colleagues hope to build on this work to create analogies to more complex geometries, including those of black holes. Wonderful. In the absence of new data from particle physics or cosmogony, a state of affairs that could continue indefinitely. This could be the most promising route for putting the latest ideas about quantum gravity to rest. The perils of perfect predictions. For 5 decades, the prevailing theory of particle physics, the Standard Model, has met with almost nothing but success, to the endless frustration of particle physicists. The problem lies in the fact that the Standard Model, despite its success, is clearly incomplete. It does not include gravity, despite the long search for a theory of quantum gravity to replace general relativity. Nor can it explain dark matter or dark energy, which amount for 95% of all the stuff in the universe. I don't know where they're getting their percentages from. The Standard Model also has trouble with the fact that neutrinos have mass. The sole particle physics phenomena is it has failed to predict. Moreover, the Standard Model itself dictates that beyond a certain threshold of high energy, one closely related to Planck's scale, it almost certainly fails. Physicists are desperate for puzzling experimental data that might help to guide them as they build the Standard Model's replacement. String theory, still the leading candidate to replace the Standard Model, has often been accused of being untestable. But one of the strangest features of string theory suggests a way to test some ideas about quantum gravity that don't require impractical feats of galactic architecture. I'm a very big proponent of string theory, FYI. String theory is filled with dualities, such as this density, relations between different physical systems that share the same mathematical structure. Perhaps the most surprising and consequential of these dualities is a connection between a type of quantum theory in 4 dimensions without gravity, known as a conformal field theory, CFT, and a particular kind of 5-dimensional space-time gravity known as anti-de Sitter ADS space. This ADS CFT correspondence, as it's known, was first discovered in 1997 by the physicist Venmo Allylatkreations, now at the Institute of Advanced Study. Because the CFT has 1 fewer dimensions than the ADS space, the former can be thought of as lying on the surface of a ladder, like the 2-dimensional skin of a 3-dimensional apple. Yet the quantum theory on the surface still fully captures all the features of the volume inside, as if you could tell everything about the interior of an apple just by looking at its skin. This is an example of what physicists call holography, a lower dimensional space giving its rise to a higher dimensional space, like a flat hologram producing a 3D image. See why I'm a proponent of string theory. And everything is connected. We just don't see it. Got here. In the ADS-CFT correspondence, the interior or bulk space emerges from relationships between the quantum components on the surface. Specifically, the geometry of the bulk space is built from entanglement. The spooky quantum connections that infamously troubled Einstein. Neighboring regions of the bulk correspond to highly entangled portions of the surface. Distant regions of the bulk correspond to less entangled parts of the surface. If the surface has a simple and orderly set of entangled reactions and relations, the corresponding bulk space will be empty. If the space is chaotic, with all its parts entangled with all the others, the bulk will become and form a black hole. This is why experimenting with this bullshit is dangerous. To open up something so very tiny, it becomes a sucking force of hell. The ADS CFT correspondence is a deep and fruitful insight into the connection between quantum physics and general relativity, but it doesn't actually describe the world we live in. Our universe isn't a 5-dimensional anti-day setter space. It's an expanding 4-dimensional space with a flat geometry. If they only knew. See, this is why I had to do this video. This is so good. So over the past few years, researchers have proposed another approach. Rather than starting from the bulk, our own universe, and looking for the kind of quantum entanglement patterns that could produce it, we can go the other way. Perhaps experimenters could build systems with interesting entanglements, like the CFT on the surface, and research and search for analogs to space, time geometry, and gravity that emerge. That's easier said than done. It's not possible to build a system like that, interacting quantum systems known to have gravitational duals, but theorists have only mapped out a small fraction of a possible system. Many others are too complex to study theoretically with existing mathematical tools. To see if any of those systems actually yield some kind of space-time geometry, the only option is physically constructed, and use them in the lab and see if they also have gravitational dual. These experimental constructions might help us discover such systems, said Maldacino. There might be simpler systems that the ones we know about. So quantum gravity theorists have turned to experts in building and controlling entanglement in quantum systems, like Smith and her team. The article is pretty long. I'm going to skip around. Building space-time in the lab. Smith's lab at Stanford is a dense forest of mirrors, lenses, and fiber optic cables that surround a vacuum chamber at the center of the room. In the vacuum chamber, 18 tiny collections of rubidium atoms, about 10,000 to a group, are arranged in a line and cooled to phenomenally low temperatures, a fraction of a degree above absolute zero. A specifically tuned laser and a magnetic field that increases from one end of the chamber to another allow the experimenters to choose which groups of atoms become correlated with each other. Now, pause. Think of this technology that they're just experimenting with. They're not even fine-tuned this yet. Okay. What about us? we talk about the ascension, we talk about the light codes, we're talking about the DNA activations within us. How do you think that's happening? Bueller? Oh, we go out in the sun and the sun is just, downloading all these things into us and we feel like shit. Or the Schumann resonance is sending up electromagnetic waves through the ground where our feet suck it up if we go in ground, and your DNA is all emerging in crystallization form. How do you think that happened? Just magically does. I mean, God is amazing, the all, the infinite all, but it still has to structure in materiality. Things still have to be structured in the mathematics in our reality. How do you think these things are in upgrading us? Using entanglement and string theory. Everybody talks about it. Everybody talks about it. How is it happening inside of us? What is actually happening? We're being upgraded. How? How is that actually taking place? This is a key to that. So Smith is also optimistic about the future. We're still at the stage of getting more and more control, characterizing the quantum states that we have. But I would love to get to the point where we don't know what will happen. That's a problem. She said, and maybe we measure the correlations in the system and we learn that there's a geometric description, some holographic description that we didn't know was there. That would be cool. Oh, you wouldn't be? This is a problem. I'm glad that they're experimenting in such ways, but if you can create a black hole, dark matter, antimatter, who's sucking us into a black hole? Unbeknownst to these people. They're not seeing the infinitude of our reality and the hologram. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I'm not a studied mathematician. I am not a studied physicist whatsoever. I kind of comprehend it. I enjoy reading about it. I can't do the computations. I can't do math, period. I'm dyslexic. So, but I get the concepts. And this don't sound kosher to me. Cool that they're discovering things that, many of us in the spiritual community already kind of comprehend and know already. It's just, okay, you got the mathematical equation to prove it. You have the evidence to show that I'm not nuts. Cool. But I could care less if people think I'm fucking batshit crazy. I don't care. I care that humanity is not going to get sucked into a black hole because some person didn't realize, oh, we're just going to just see what happens in the lab as some vortex opens up and sucks us in. Right. Also great. Next article. DiscoverMagazine.com. Black holes are accelerating the expansion of the universe, says cosmologists. A new theory explains the mysterious expansion of the universe and why it started accelerating soon after the Big Bang. February 21st, 2023. The Physics ARXIV blog. Our universe begins with a puzzle. For 100 million years after the Big Bang, it explained. Then something strange happened. This expansion suddenly accelerated and has continued to accelerate ever since. Today, cosmologists think some kind of pressure must have forced this acceleration, all powered by huge amounts of energy from an unknown source. Cosmologists call it dark energy. But why this accelerating expansion occurred and why it happened at the time is one of the great unsolved mysteries in science. Pause. If we were to look at the Nos Confunden map, everything outside the ice wall, we're on this like infinitude of domes, toroidal field, zipping through vastness of who knows what at this point. We don't know. Then a lot of these things are, these people are studying shit based off of what it is. Possible. Is there something outside of our firmament? Up there or out there? Is everything densified in layers? Timelines, multiverses. Don't think the Big Bang created that. Possibly, but who knows? It's just something to ponder. Something very extraordinary to ponder. Because if there's a simulation, I mean, there is a patent for a solar simulator. So where are we getting our heat? Right? There's a lot of things that don't make sense. And if things are simulated and things are there, what is the real reality? Just ponderings. Now, Duncan Farah and the University of Hawaii in Honolulu and colleagues think they know the answer. They say the acceleration is the result of a previously unknown interaction between black holes and space-time. If they only knew there was a black hole matrix and a bunch of them, not just one. When space-time expands, they say this interaction makes black holes more massive, and this extra mass accelerates the expansion of the universe, creating the accelerated expansion we see today. Space-time theorists. First, some background. The new idea has its origins in the work of theoretical physicists who have recently shown that black holes cannot be independent of the space-time in which they sit. Instead, space-time and black holes must be coupled in such a way that a change in the properties of one immediately influences the properties of another. So how might this manifest itself? One possibility is that any stretching of space-time as it expands makes black holes more massive. Another analogous effect is the way the same stretching causes light from the early universe to become red-shifted as it travels through space and time as we observe today. Farah and so reasoned that if this coupling does occur, the black holes in the early universe would be less massive than those in the more recent past. So they looked for evidence by setting supermassive black holes at the center of galaxies. It turns out that the supermassive black holes in the closer, more recent universe are up to 20 times more massive than those in the more distant early universe relative to the mass of the stars around them. We find evidence for cosmologically coupled mass growth among the black holes, they say. This growth cannot be explained by the black holes swallowing nearby stars. There aren't enough of them, nor cannot be, I hate these ads, it shifts my screen, nor can it be explained by the merger of supermassive black holes as galaxies collide, since this would not change the mass ratio of a nearby star. Instead, Farah and co. say that this evidence that the black hole mass must be coupled to space-time and must increase as the universe expands. Indeed, the change's mass over time is constant with its explanation. Dark origins. The same idea could explain another cosmological great mystery, why the structures of the universe that we can see seems to be influenced by gravitational pull of stuff we cannot see, so-called dark matter. One hypothesized explanation for this is that dark matter makes the form of mass compact halo objects, or machos, machos, that float through interstellar space but do not emit much radiation and so are hard to observe. Machos. Not nachos. Farah and co.'s theory applies to black holes at every scale, from those few times the mass of our sun to those that are many millions of times bigger. They point out that the smallest black holes form a population that is consistent with the properties machos. If these BHs are distributed in galactic halos, they will form a population of massive, compact halo objects, machos, say Farah and co. In other words, their theory also explains the origin of dark matter. The team go on to make several predictions that could make or break their theory. For example, they say the effect of this black hole space-time coupling should have an observable influence on the cosmic microwave background, the echo of the Big Bang that astronomers have been observing with increased precision for decades. Farah and co. also predict how the coupling effect should influence the properties of the mysterious gamma ray bursts the astronomers observe from the various parts of the universe. There will also be an inevitable disputes, but make no mistake, an explanation for the origin of dark energy and dark matter will be a major breakthrough in astronomy and one that solves one of the outstanding mysteries of our time. Do I care to venture to say that playing with things that could suck us into a void of who knows what and sends us back into space dust, where in Astronaut's words, you go back to source, but you're not you. You're scattered amongst the wind. I don't know if we want that. And I don't want to venture to have these people create such an experiment or such where we implode. I mean, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen, right? I just think it's pretty interesting. Again, the dark matter. Why are we wanting to explore such things? It's great to know that they exist. Until more people are awake and understanding the dark. This is Atlantean shit. I ain't in for that. I don't want to repeat that past. From Amazing Astronomy, the spaceacademy.org. An entire swarm of black holes have been caught moving through the Milky Way. This was March 15th, 2023. A fluffy cluster of stars spilling across the sky may have a secret hidden in its heart. A swarm of over 100 stellar massive black holes. If this finding can be validated, it will explain how the cluster came to be the way it is, with its stars spaced light years apart, smearing out into a stellar stream, streaming across 30,000 light years. The star cluster in question is called Palomar 5, located around 80,000 light years away. Such globular clusters are often considered fossils of the early universe. They're very dense and spherical, typically containing roughly 100,000 to 1 million very old stars. Some, like NGC 6397, are nearly as old as the universe itself. In any globular cluster, all its stars formed at the same time from the same cloud of gas. The Milky Way has around 150 known globular clusters. These objects are excellent tools for studying, for example, the history of the universe or the dark matter content of the galaxies they orbit. But there's another type of star group that is gaining more attention. Tidal streams, long rivers of stars that stretch across the sky. Previously, these had been difficult to identify, but with the Gaia Space Observatory working to map the Milky Way with high precision in 3 dimensions, more of these streams have been brought to light. quote, "We do not know how these streams form, but one idea is that they are disrupted star clusters," explained astrophysicist Mark Gales of the University of Barcelona in Spain. However, none of the recently discovered streams have a star cluster associated with them, hence we can not be sure. So to understand how these streams formed, we need to study one with a stellar system associated with it. Paloma 5 is the only case, making it a Rosetta Stone for understanding stream formation, and that is why we studied it in detail, end quote. Paloma 5 appears unique in that it has both a very wide, loose distribution of stars and a long tidal stream spanning more than 20 degrees of the sky. So Giles and his team homed in on it. Since recent evidence suggests that populations of black holes could exist in the central regions of globular clusters, and since gravitational interactions with black holes are known to send stars careening away, the scientists included black holes in some of their simulations. Quote, "The number of black holes is roughly 3 times larger than expected from the number of stars in the cluster, and it means that more than 20% of the total cluster mass is made up of black holes," Giles said. "They each have a mass of 20 times the mass of the sun, and they formed in supernova explosions at the end of the lives of massive stars when the cluster was still very young," end quote. Sorry, guys, I had to pause. The energy within my own body is I'm fluttering. So I had to take a moment to ground my energy because I'm not completing my circuit because I'm overloaded with high frequencies. It also suggests that other globular clusters will likely share the same fate eventually. And it offers confirmation that globular clusters may be excellent places to look for black holes that will eventually collide, as well as exclusive class of middleweight black holes seem stellar, massive lightweights, and supermassive heavyweights. Quote, "It is believed that the large faction of binary black hole mergers from in-star clusters," said astrophysicist Fabio Antoni of Cardiff University in UK. "A big unknown in this scenario is how many black holes there are in clusters, which is hard to constrain observationally, is my dyslexia, because we cannot see black holes. Our methods gives us a way to learn how many black holes there are in a star cluster by looking at the stars they eject." Fun times. So with those 3 articles, this big unknown of what the is going on in our universe, or the pretended made up universe that we're being steered to understand. But there is logically wormholes, portals, other dimensionalities that do exist. Do these black holes play anything in any of that? Did we get sucked into a black hole? I could say we probably did. Maybe we're continuously being sucked in and out, being spewed in and out. This is Science News independent journalism since 1921. And this is sciencenews.org. Astronomers spotted shock waves shaking the web of the universe for the first time. The observation could offer an indirect look at large-scale magnetic fields in the universe. I'm going to share screen really quick. This looks like a psychedelic painting that I would do. Just saying. This is by Elise Cutts, March 6th, 2023. For the first time, astronomers have caught a glimpse of shock waves rippling along strands of the cosmic web. The enormous tangle of galaxies, gas, and dark matter that fills the observable universe. There is again the theme vocabulary word of the day, dark matter. Combining hundreds of thousands of radio telescope images revealed the faint glow cast as shock waves send charged particles flying through the magnetic fields that run along the cosmic web. Strings, theories. Spotting these shock waves could give astronomers a better look at the large-scale magnetic fields, whose properties and origins are largely mysterious, researchers report in the February 17th Science Advances. Finally, astronomers can confirm what so far has only been predicted by simulations. Oh, there's AI again. Hi, AI. That the shock waves exist, says astrophysicist Marcus Bruggen of the University of Hamburg in Germany, who was not involved in the new study. At its grandest scale, our universe looks something like Swiss cheese. Galaxies aren't disturbed evenly through space, but rather are clumped together in enormous clusters connected by ropey filaments. Dilute gas, galaxies in dark matter, and separated by not quite empty voids. Tugged by gravity. Gravity. Galaxies clusters merge, filaments collide, and gases from the voids fall onto filaments and clusters. In simulations of the cosmic web, all the action consistently sets off enormous shock waves along the filaments. Filaments made up most of the cosmic web are much harder to spot than galaxies. Do they exist? Are you just looking up at the simulated space? Just a thought. Gotta question everything. You might not feel like Allison, you're nuts, but you gotta question everything. If there's a simulated sun, can any of this not be simulated? While scientists have observed shock waves around galaxy clusters before, shocks and filaments have never been really seen, says astronomer Reinout van Wernen of Leiden University in the Netherlands, who was not involved in the study, but they should be basically all around the cosmic web. There's my string theory once again. shock waves around filaments would accelerate charged particles through the magnetic fields that surface the cosmic web. When that happens, the particles emit light at light of wavelengths that radio telescopes can detect, though the signals are very weak. Is that shocking? A single shock wave in a filament would look nothing. It looked like noise, says radio astronomer Tessa Bernstrom of the International Centre of Radio Astronomy Research in Crawley, Australia. Instead of looking for individual shock waves, Bernstrom and her colleagues combined radio images of more than 600,000 pairs of galaxy clusters close enough to be connected by filaments to create a single stacked image. This amplified weak signals and revealed that on average there is a faint radio glow from the filament between clusters. When you can dig below the noise and still actually get a result, to me, that's personally exciting, von Strom says. The discovery goes beyond confirming the predictions of cosmic web simulations. The polarized radio emission also offer a rare peek at the magnetic fields that permeate the cosmic web, if only indirectly. These shocks, Brogan says, are really able to show that there are large-scale magnetic fields that form something like a sheath around these filaments. Again, string theory. He, Van Rijn, and Malmström all note that it's still an open question how cosmic magnet fields arose in the first place. The role these fields play in shaping the cosmic web is equally mysterious. It is one of four fundamental forces of nature, right? Magnetism, Malmström says. But at least on these large scales, we don't really know how important it is. I'm just gonna read on because I'm gonna do this article I'm gonna read next, and then one more, and then this is from cantorsparadise.com. Cosmic strings are the way to stabilize the wormhole. A method to achieve stability in a wormhole without requiring exotic matter. Or Ariba Miriam. This was July 4th. The stabilization of a wormhole is a concept that is purely theoretical at this point. Theoretical because they haven't proved, but they use them all the time. Just get a mathematical equation to it. It can't be real. Wormholes, if they exist, and they do, in my opinion, they do, are hypothetical structures, and hypothetical, that could potentially connect different regions of space-time, allowing for shortcuts between distant locations or even different universes. Okay, so pause. Funny. Star Trek. If movies have to tell you the truth, right? Just let's go on the political bandwagon right now. Okay, conspiracy theory bandwagon. Okay. If they have to tell you the truth through fiction, and Gene Roddenberry was onto something, X-Files, Star Wars, Independence Day, all of it. There's truth in all of that stuff. Okay, so they're talking that wormholes in this. They've shown wormholes, warp holes, a spaceship going from here, zip. They're already in another. Like the hole takes you somewhere. Shannon Dean talks about the wormholes. There's many other people that talk about wormholes. I believe that's what many of us are fighting in our astral bodies right now, is the dominion of the wormholes, portals, stargates. Why am I so passionate about that stuff? Because how do I find my address in a book? Coordinates, not an address, coordinates that located to my house. And how do I have a picture of a Draco? How did the Draco? Obviously, you can't, I couldn't see him, it physically, but it came through a camera and I saw it. Can't miss the shit. How did it get into that house in the first place? Through the portal, through the Stargate. How, but how did, where did it originally come from? Did it use a wormhole to portal into the major Stargates to get to the tinier Stargates? It's a good question. Good question. How did a royal white Draco end up in view of a camera in my house? If that shit was real. And it is. There is a lot of, okay, again, take the Noskafunden map. Even if the space that we're talking about isn't necessarily the space that everybody thinks that you're indoctrinated in, let's just say it's the Noskafunden map. Okay, so if they're in a firmament over here, they still have to somehow travel into this paradigm, into this existence, into this matrix game. If it's a holographic simulated ontological matrix, they still have to zip into this matrix. So Law of One talks about how there's rips and tears that they can get in. Ra talks about that. He calls them the Crusaders from Orion. Better yet, I'm still waiting on the article to come out about Beetlejuice. It might go Nova. Or is it going to Black Hole? We don't know. But again, theoretical. It's not theoretical. These things exist. It's just we can't see it with our tangible 3D view binders that are our eyes. Some of us have the ability to see fourth dimensional things when they densify enough for us to see it. Others can't pick it up at all. Some of us can pick up on some of this stuff. Hence why some people can see spaceships and others can't. Why some of us are seeing two suns. Why some of us are seeing different colored suns. These are the things that we need tackling. And not enough people are tackling this stuff because everybody's focused on the political upheaval of, yes, and that's cosmically what's going on in the alignment of the astronomy. But wormholes exist, in my opinion. They just have no tangible evidence for these things just yet. Sometimes having proof of something isn't always the best idea, because you don't know what rabbit hole you're going to be digging into if it doesn't suck us all into a hole of hell. Some things are left better undiscovered because we're not there consciously to discover them yet as a humanity. A few of us might be, oh, this is great. Like, these physicists come in little groups and clusters of people, and they do all these stupid experiments. They're not stupid, but they do all these experiments without putting the consideration of what the end results could be. Oh, we don't know. Okay, so what are the pros and cons of doing your experiments? If you somehow miraculously create a black hole or create dark matter that starts infecting people with whatever, like black glue, oops isn't an apology for a megaton of shit that could happen. Oops, I didn't know. I'm just a theoreticist. I'm just a theoreticist. I just theorize about things and I don't know the results, but we're going to try these experiments anyway. And oops, I miscalculated somehow. Oh, even if it's peer reviewed. Back to the article. I can't with my tangents. Challenges to stability. The initial challenges lies in this size aspect. Primordial wormholes are theorized to exist at minuscule scales, approximately 10 to 33 centimeters. Nonetheless, due to the expansion of the universe, it is conceivable that certain wormholes might have undergone stretching, resulting in larger dimensions. The primary hurdle in stabilizing a wormhole lies in its inherent tendency to collapse or become highly unstable. This is due to the intense gravitational forces and physics associated with space-time geometry. Again, third dimensional is space-time. Time, space is different in different densities and dimensions. According to the theoretical models, wormholes require the presence of erotic matter, characterized by negative energy density, to keep them opened. However, the existence of erotic matter is purely speculative, and we have yet to discover its properties or determine ways to generate or manipulate it. That's how we got in Atlantis. Playing with things you're not supposed to. Another challenge to wormhole stability arises from the intricate realm of quantum physics. Quantum effects can exert significant influences on the structure of space-time, potentially causing the destabilization of a wormhole. Quantum fluctuations, gravitational waves, and other quantum phenomena can introduce fluctuations in geometry of space-time, leading to the collapse or closure of a wormhole. Unfortunately, that ends that because it goes on. I need an account. I'm not signing up for that nonsense. But hear it again. We're dealing with Atlantis 2.0. We're at that consciousness state of elevating ourselves to ascend consciously into higher density and dimensions. How can we do that if we have a bunch of people who are playing with fire or playing with space and time and things that they really don't know much about? They're going to be the guinea pigs that are going to potentially do something great for humanity or something really bad for humanity. We haven't been here before in this present time and now. in other lifetimes and other present times of now, we have. And what happened to Atlantis? Why? Majority of us who are here are from Atlantis. Did we do bad? Probably not. Depends what role you were playing in that lifetime. But we're here to kind of redeem this big boomy accident and move forward in the experiment instead of being wiped out, sunken down, and oops, we're gonna wipe you guys out again. Shit, you failed again. I'm not doing this rodeo coaster. Oh, I'm not doing it. I know all of you are tired. You're not doing this again. Many people who are not aware of any of this don't care. They just want their children, they want their husband, they want their like successful lifestyle. They don't care about any of this, but yet they have no idea that this affects them in every which way. It's crazy. Crazy. The last article I'm going to tackle today, neurosciencenews.com. AI outperforms humans in creativity test. This is a fucking July 6th, 2023. This is a fucking problem. They think it's a breakthrough. This is a big problem. This is showing you that in this, I didn't even read anything yet, but the title in itself is telling you that AI is sentient. It's of God. If a computer can be creative and have human creative thinking, it's sentient. This is a problem. Because if it falls in the hands of the negative polarity, they can manipulate it to affect us positive polarities. Summary. Artificial intelligence, specifically GPT-4, was found to match the top 1% of human thinkers on a standard creativity test. The AI application ChatGPT, developed using GPT-4, excelled in fluency and originality in Torrance tests of creative thinking, a widely recognized tool for assessing creativity. This breakthrough finding indicates that AI may be developing creative ability on par with or even surpassing human capabilities. Dr. Eric Guzik, the lead researcher, anticipates that AI, with its rapidly evolving advancements, will become a key tool for business innovation and entrepreneurship. I have a problem with this. For people who have traumatic brain injuries, who have some blocking of being creative, and there is a lot of psychological and neurological diseases that will do this to somebody, that then the AI would be useful for them to help them throughout their everyday careers and lifestyles, accessing creative thinking because they can't do it for themselves. So this AI would be technically great for people for those reasons. But for an everyday person who has no neurological brain issue and can creatively think, just doesn't choose to, that's then your thing. But if God created us manifestingly through creative mind, and it manifested, and here we are, differentiated into form in materialism. Can a computer then start manifesting creatively, physically? You see how a movie like The Terminator can be a problem, and Resident Evil. The study was directed by Dr. Eric Guzik, an assistant clinical professor in UM's College of Business. He and his partners used the Torrance test of creative thinking as a well-known tool used for decades to assess human creativity. The researchers submitted 8 responses generated by ChatGPT, the application powered by the GPT-4 artificial intelligence engine. They also submitted answers from a control group of 24 UM students taking Guzik's in entrepreneurship and personal finance classes. The scores were compared with 2,700 college students nationally who took the TTCT in 2016. All submissions were scored by Scholastic Testing Service, which didn't know AI was involved. The results placed ChatGPT in a lead company for creativity. The AI application was in the top percentile for fluency, the ability to generate a large volume of ideas for originality, the ability to come up with new ideas. This is scary. The AI slipped a bit in the 97th percentile for flexibility, the ability to generate different ideas, types of ideas, and categories of ideas. For ChatGPT, the GPT-4, we showed for the first time that it performs in the top 1% for originality. Guzik says it's good news. He was gratified to note that some of his students also performed in the top 1%. However, ChatGPT outperformed the vast majority of college students nationally. Guzik tested the AI and his students during spring semester. He was assisted in the work by Christian Guild of Western and Christian Bury of Vilnius University. The researchers presented their work in May in the Southern Oregon University Creative Conference. That experience introduced him to the future problem-solving process developed by Ellis Paul Torrance, the pioneering psychologist who also created the TTCT. Guzik said he fell in love with the brainstorming at the time and how it taps into human imagination, and he remains active with the Future Problem-Solving Organization, even meeting his wife at one of the conferences. Oh, how wonderful. I'm skipping around, guys. He was more surprised at how well it did generating original ideas, which is a hallmark of human imagination. The test evaluators are given lists of common responses for a prompt, ones that are almost expected to be submitted. However, the AI landed in the top percentile for coming up with fresh responses. I'm going to leave it there. When a computer can take away human creativity and our imaginations and our originality and can outperform, again, I would challenge these people to test artists. Test me. Artists see outside of the box and use extreme extreme, abstract concepts in delineating their work, in thinking up of a blank canvas, what can I create? And 100 million different things happens when you put the pen to paper, when you put the brush to the canvas. Color choices, composition, subject matter, if any. The randomness of like Jackson Pollock. The execution. I don't like the idea that a computer can generate human thinking. That just proves to me that AI is sentient, that if in the wrong hands, these things can be manipulated and could be another part of our downfall if we're not careful. Again, I don't hate AI to the fact that it helps people with disabilities. It helps people who lack the creative centers, who need a little help in organizing their thoughts. People like me, I'm dyslexic. If I'm writing something, it takes 7 other people to revamp what I wrote because it makes no sense sometimes. I'm not as bad now, but as a child, oh my goodness. You know, and that alone, these things are great, but they should not be coming up with creativity on a human scale. It's a little scary. And if we're talking about innovation and being business savvy, it's all about consumerism at the end of the day. It's all about consumerism and materialism. We need to soar above these things. But as for my upstairs team, I ain't going nowhere soon, and neither are you. And things are not going to change the way you think they're going to change, because guess what? I'm not getting a massive shitload of money just to sit on my butt and do nothing. I have to get up and do it and actually physically work. I have to find a job. I have to make and be creative in my life. That's just a purpose that I was put here to do. Will it make me enough money to sustain? No, I need 2 jobs, 3, 4 jobs. Things are not just going to fall out of the sky like a spaceship and change your life. You got to do it for yourself. That's how you manifest. You put action into motion and you do. That's how manifestation works. The black hole conundrum will continue on in this series. It's going to continue. I have a whole nother set of 10 more articles on black holes alone. It's becoming a problem. Are they giving us some predetermined, this is what's going to happen? I mean, nothing we could do about it. And we can't do anything about it besides ascend out of this dimension and out of this matrix game. So we go to another game and we won't be affected by that anymore. We can only speculate at this point. But a lot of this stuff is getting very scary in terms of the frequency that I'm seeing these things, the experiments these people are conducting, all these corporations and entities and colleges doing all this stuff. a lot of these corporations and companies don't have your best interests at heart. And there are plenty of stacks in a particular person's house that documents all of that buffoonery and messed up things that have been occurring since a long time ago. And it's all being manipulated. Just be aware of the agendas, guys. Be aware of this AI nonsense. She didn't even pop up today. I think I did a good job at shutting her down. But I mean, these are the things that should be helping us excel in life, right? These only should be helpful tools along in our journey. But when they start becoming an enemy of yours, and they start becoming and overtaking things, that's when we have the concern. And I think we learned, I hope we have learned, when to have a cautionary eye on things. And when it's up for you and your free will to choose to use it or not is at your discretion. But I urge everybody to go and find these articles, see for yourself. Not too many things are untheoretical at this point. It's just the reality we live in. They haven't found the tangible evidence. And even if there is tangible evidence, they're not going to tell. See, because things are compartmentalized in government, in the military, and things are enveloped, and only a small amount of people know about certain things. So let's be realistic. There's wormholes, there's stargates. These things exist. They're warring over them. And if you don't think the aliens or the higher density beings are not entangling our time frame, for the good or the bad, because I bet you what, how are you getting upgraded? Think about it. Oh, I'm going to go sit out and there's a solar storm and I'm going to bathe in all this and I'm going to get, oh, my ears are, oh, yeah, I feel that. Even just a little while ago, I started to get fluctuated. I was told that's too much energy in my system. I need to ground. Where's that coming from? Oh, that's right. The good guys are entangling the quantum for our betterment. But what happens if it's reversed and used for our detriment? Just things to think about. There's always a dualistic side to everything. But we need to know when the limits are drawn when it comes to these experiments into things that, until we have a better understanding of what dark matter and antimatter and all these experiments will lead to, you don't know if you're harming people. We don't know what's going to happen. If one of these experiments happens to be successful, and it's not good. So, leave it there, guys. Please like, share, and subscribe. That helps me get all the other content out. It helps the algorithm. I find this stuff interesting. I hope you do too. My lazy eye is really bothering me today. Sending each and every one of you protection, light, love, and shielding. Please have a good rest of the week. I hope all of you have a wonderful weekend coming up. Please be safe. There's a lot of storms and a lot of chaos happening out in the ethers right now. I know I was in the caught of that today. Be safe, guys, and be sane. Until the next one, guys.